The Most Beautiful Roof in the World by Kathryn Lasky. Exploring the Rainforest Canopy. Pioneer in the Rainforest. Meg Lohman climbs trees. She has climbed trees since she was a little girl in search of insects, leaves, and flowers. And now it is her job. Meg is a rainforest scientist, and her specialty is the very top of the rainforest, the canopy. During the past 10 years, Meg has spent at least 5 days a month in the treetops, which adds up to 600 days. And this does not include the approximately 10 days every month she spends at the base of trees looking up. Meg wants to know about the relationships between plants and insects in the canopy. She is especially interested in herbivory, leaf and plant eating by insects and other animals. She wants to know which insects eat which leaves and how their feeding affects the overall growth of the rainforest. To answer these questions, she must spend a great deal of time either up in a tree or back in her laboratory studying samples. Meg's lab is at the Marie Selby Botanical Gardens, a rainforest research center in Sarasota, Florida, where she is a director of research and observation. Meg cannot remember a single day in her life when she wasn't either looking at or studying a plant, leaf, flower, or insect. Except probably those days when she went to the hospital to give birth to her two sons, Edward and James. Since Meg was 6, she has been fascinated by the natural world. As a child, she had a bird's nest collection, a rock collection, a shell collection, an insect and butterfly collection, and a bud collection. Her bedroom was stuffed with outdoor treasures. Her great love was flowers. In the 5th grade, she was the only child in her class to enter the state science fair. She made a wildflower collection and won 2nd prize. When Meg was 10 years old, she was intrigued by 2 women, Rachel Carson, one of the first environmentalists who studied and wrote about the delicate relationships and the web of life, and Harriet Tubman, the most famous conductor of the Underground Railroad. Threading through the countryside and deep woods on long, frightening nights, Harriet Tubman guided countless African Americans out of slavery to freedom. Meg read that she often navigated by feeling for the moss that grew on the north sides of trees. But it was not only moss that she had to look for. She had to know which berries and nuts could be eaten, which could make the difference between starvation and survival. She had to know how to find a swamp to plunge into when slave-hunting dogs bore down. The sulfurous mud and slime could disguise a human scent and confuse the dogs. She had to be attuned to the environment in order to guide her people on their perilous journey. Harriet Tubman, says Meg, was a pioneer field naturalist, one of the first women field naturalists in this country. When Meg is at Selby Gardens, she busily sorts, classifies, and prepares the samples of plants, flowers, and insects she has brought back from her explorations and rainforest canopies all over the world. She has a special permit that allows her to collect many rare specimens, some of which are brought back live and continue to grow in the Selby greenhouses. Selby has one of the largest collections of orchids and bromeliads in the world. Sometimes Meg brings back parts of plants, leaves, or blossoms. These she must carefully preserve by pickling or pressing. To pickle plant parts, she puts them in a solution of alcohol and water. Although their color might change, the flowers retain their 3-dimensional form for study. To press a plant specimen, she folds the flowers and leaves carefully in newspaper, then places them between sheets of cardboard where they begin to dry out. Back at Selby, the drying is finished in low-temperature ovens. Finally, Meg glues them down on special acid-free paper, which each preserved plant is carefully tagged and labeled and then put in the herbarium, a plant library. To gather species of plants and insects, Meg has climbed ropes to pluck leaves, sailed aloft in hot air balloons to gather orchids, swung on trapezes through the foliage, and even hung over the side of an inflatable raft resting on the canopy. Meg has tried most methods of ascent in her exploration of the canopy, and it has been exciting. She has not only found marvelous insects, but has joined the butterflies, swung with the spider monkeys, and peered into the magical little frog ponds at the tops of trees and the tinks of bromeliads. For a human being, ascending to the canopy is not easy. There is so much to conquer: gravity, stinging ants, rotten trunks, and thorns. For years, rainforest scientists stood in the deep shadows on the forest floor, looking up as occasional shafts of pale green light broke through. They could only wonder about the canopy, brilliantly lit, noisy with bird life and the chatterings of monkeys. They knew that the canopy was the powerhouse of the rainforest, the place where most photosynthesis occurs and where 95% of the biomass, the living things of the rainforest, is produced. The canopy is where rainforest life begins. Yet for years it remained out of reach. Even deep sea exploration was easier. The rainforest canopy has been likened to an undiscovered continent, a kind of last frontier. Since the mid 1980s, better technology has been developed, offering new ways for scientists to overcome the natural obstacles of gravity, ants, and thorns. Such scientists, however, must be strong, fearless, and physically fit, as well as smart and hardworking. They must be as skillful as any mountaineer, perhaps more so, for the cliffs they ascend are made not of rocks, but of leaves and branches of enormous elasticity. These women and men are the pioneers of a newly discovered continent as they feel their way up to the brightly lit canopy.